When you're working with people in tech, you'll hear this term, raw data dump. It will usually refer to just taking the massive amounts of data you've collected and just taking it unprocessed or unfiltered, raw, often used for something like backup or migration. Earlier today, I was at a bank trying to back up all my transactions for one of my accounts going back, 3 or 4 years. It was nearly impossible to do this online unless I went basically month by month and got those monthly statements out. The banker that was helping me out was a friendly and helpful young lady. Everything was going well until I used the term raw data dump. She was not familiar with that term, and I think she probably assumed it meant something completely different. And the rest of our conversation was somewhat awkward, but it gave me an idea. I have tons of bookmarks on my Twitter, each one saved for later for when I want to do a video about it. Unfortunately, I don't always get to do videos about it. But after my faux pas with the young lady at the bank, an idea occurred. Why don't I just do a raw data dump of all the stuff that I've been saving onto a video? I feel like you might really like it. I just need to make sure that I frame it correctly and not make people misunderstand what I mean. That's why I opened up this video with an explanation of what a raw data dump was. With that out of the way, let's get started. AI engineers from around the world flew to San Francisco to build, and break state-of-the-art AI agents. And so here were the finalists. So the first one was Auto Arena, basically where you can test your autonomous AI agents against 800 plus web navigation evaluations. Another interesting one was STIM, contextually aware asynchronous alert agents that listen for news, conversations, and other real-time ingress events. Engagement Farmers, AI agents that act like Redditors, spin up agents that engage with community posts and leave comments. Even though they got IP banned by Reddit, they were able to generate a handful of comments. So there was a viral paper called Language Models Represent Space and Time. By the way, this is Dr. Jim Fan. He's an NVIDIA senior AI scientist. He is one of the people behind Minecraft Voyager, the AI model that's learning to play Minecraft better and better, that's driven by GPT-4. And so Max Tegmark, and I think he had a partner, Wes Gurney, and they put out a paper that seemed to suggest that language models have an internal world model, a sense of time, at multiple spatiotemporal scales. Now, the idea of these AIs, these neural nets building mental models, has been shown in a couple other different places, Othello GPT, as well as another paper called Beyond Surface Statistics. We covered both of them on this channel. And what they seem to indicate is that the power of these neural nets is probably bigger than we realize. They're not simple stochastic parrots, but rather something more similar to the human brain. And again, that's a huge debate right now. Take everything you hear with a grain of salt. So here's Dr. Jim Fan. So as much as I like the author's works, I disagree with their definition of the world model. World model is a core concept in AI agent and decision making. It is our mental simulation of how the world works given interventions, or lack thereof. And so here's Jan LeCun. Using such world models, animals can learn new skills with very few trials. They can predict the consequences of their actions. They can reason, plan, explore, and imagine new solutions to problems. Importantly, they can also avoid making dangerous mistakes when facing an unknown situation. It looks like the first use of the term world model was by these people. I'm not familiar with that one, but they showed an agent mastering shooting skills in the popular game called Doom, and they also have a little demo here. Seems like it's a modified Doom where the Doom character strafes left and right in order to avoid getting hit by fireballs from a pixelated mass of, I guess those would be imps in the original Doom. And so basically what they showed is that there's an internal world model as a sort of physics simulator. And so next, Dr. Jim Fan says, so the definition of the world model in this paper that we're talking about seems to be about predicting GPS coordinates and time errors. And then he sees this as just a classification task with no causal learning and simulation going on. You cannot make meaningful interventions against the model, nor can you optimize any decision making in a closed feedback loop. As for the space and time neurons, I think they're most similar to the sentiment neuron that OpenAI published in 2017. So the unsupervised sentiment neuron. This is interesting. We might come back to it. And so next post that Dr. Jim Fan makes is, let's talk about which papers actually show a hint of LLM's internal world models. There's quite a few, but I'll highlight two in Game AI. By the way, this guy is a great follow. I believe he worked on autonomous agents for quite a while. He worked pretty closely with Andrej Karpathy from OpenAI. So definitely an interesting person to follow. He starts with Voyager, the shameless self-plug. So this is his and of course other people's. He's just sort of one of the names on the paper, but in Pinecraft, Voyager is able to make decisions by world modeling. So, for example, the hunger bar is low. So if I don't get food, I'll die. I see a cat, a pig, and a villager. Which one should I hunt? pig because killing the other two wouldn't give me food even if I succeed. So check inventory, no good weapon. Then we go craft a weapon. The pig ran away, so he starts hunting sheep. So this involves counterfactual reasoning and active intervention given the agent and the world's current state. Voyager anticipates what it needs by mentally simulating the future and plan against that imagined future accordingly. And then there's Othello GPT. We've covered that on this channel. So the model basically was built on the GPT architecture. So they fed it tons of Othello moves. Othello is also known as reverse C, however you pronounce that. So maybe people are familiar with that. And so all it knew, the only data it had is just a collection of moves that people play during a normal game. But over time, when it started being able to predict next legal moves of the game, when they probed into the neural net, they found that it had some representation of the board. It had some representation of the board state where the different pieces were. Even though it had no data about the existence of a board or pieces or anything like that, it developed a mental model that it could use to help it predict things in its world, in its universe. That universe being this Othello game. So now you can use it to answer questions like, what would the opponent do if I had made a different move? Or is this legal move given the current world state? And again, I'll leave all the links in the description. I do recommend people read this if this is something that's interesting to you. And next, we have to talk about Jimmy Apples. Jimmy freaking Apples. Who is Jimmy Apples? I haven't heard this name until very recently. But basically, Jimmy Apples has made numerous predictions that have turned out to be true, things which only an insider can know. They're talking about OpenAI here, an insider in OpenAI. He claims that OpenAI has achieved AGI internally, among many other things. There are also two more potential insiders that make wild claims, but to make this even more mysterious, Jimmy Apples deleted his Twitter account. Now, we believe that Jimmy Apples is a credible insider because he predicted the exact date of GPT-4 announcement. 10 days looks like before it was announced. He predicted that ChatGPT will soon gain vision on a September 3rd tweet. He predicted the nickname Gobi at April 28th. TheInformation.com gained that knowledge recently. I've covered that when this came out, and TheInformation.com seems to be pretty on top of stuff. It's a trusted source of news, but this was months and months before that. He predicted the referral functionality for ChatGPT. It's important to understand this. Let me summarize for you. This guy predicted a bunch of stuff that came true. It seems like he just knows stuff before they happen, right? And he's pretty accurate. So he might be a trustworthy, credible source, or at least he has been in the past, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Here's some of his other predictions and tweets. A recent one said that OpenAI has achieved AGI internally. This was on September 18th. He's saying that OpenAI is scared right now, really scared. Also, watch out for misdirection and certain people trying to avoid highlighting new papers. This is interesting because what this is saying is that there's certain papers that are coming out that might be pointing to where things are going that maybe, I don't know, OpenAI or somebody else, maybe they're worried that somebody else is going to kind of pick up that trail and maybe catch up to OpenAI. So maybe there's some misdirection. Now, Andre Karpathy talked about that there's an internal Slack channel at OpenAI where every time a new paper comes out, they discuss it. And they might be saying, oh yeah, somebody has a new idea for how to progress a neural network forward or one of these language models forward. They might say like, oh, we've tried that, 6 months ago. That didn't work. Dead end. But some of them, it sounds like maybe they're going to avoid highlighting certain things because they don't want too many eyes on those papers. And September 3rd, OpenAI multimodal coming out soon to upstage Gemini. And we've kind of seen that since then, right? We've seen ChatGPT Vision, DALL-E 3, we've seen that voice assistant. And in 2024, he's saying what's going to happen is continuous learning, autonomous agents scaled up. This might be AGI for a few. So for a while, that might be AGI, those sort of autonomous agents. But I'm waiting around for the tail end of 2025. Why reach for the moon when you can reach for the edges of the universe? AGI 2025, that's your leak. And here he does say that there's sort of regulatory capture, that they're trying to get the governments to create some sort of protection for all these AI labs, including OpenAI, and potentially Google and others as well. This is interesting. So the model is internally known, I guess this is Gobi that he's talking about. And so the model is internally known as GPT-5 and is completed training on October 2022. 1 to 2 trillion is a small subset of this. What everyone wants won't be out till mid-2024. So this would explain the confusion a lot of people had when Sam Altman said I believe at the beginning of 2023, he said, we are not right now training GPT-5, right? So he's saying right now we are not training GPT-5, which would have been the complete truth if GPT-5 was completed in October 2022. The big multimodal currently in the works at OpenAI is called Gobi. Should I leak more? They have an internal 64K model, can't release with huge compute issues at the moment. And then he says, Dear Sam, I wrote you, but you still ain't calling. I left my cell, my pager, and my home phone at the bottom. I sent 2 letters back in autumn. You must not have got them. Who knows that reference? Anyways, there's more on here, but this is one of those things where, there's a lot of stuff here and it's kind of hard to tell how much of it is nonsense, how much of it is true, but it does seem like this person has some insider knowledge and is really ahead of some of these announcements. But, again, I'm not saying any of this is true. I'm not saying any of this is false. It's just a raw data dump, and you can see for yourself in the links below. Also, this thing I've been kind of paying attention to for a while. I'm not too familiar with the person behind this, but I just it randomly shows up in my feed. There's this game, if you are aware of like the Generative Agents Stanford paper, it was inspired by that to create sort of an open world, real-time, fully simulated with OpenAI's GPT-4. So you can go there and just talk to characters and they'll act based on GPT-4. So think about like Minecraft Voyager, but every little thing is a Minecraft Voyager that will interact with you. And like, if you tell them, hey, let's go over here on this quest, then it'll be like, okay, yeah, let's do that. And like, I think he asked them to show him to the well, to the forest, and then they just go for it. And so each one has various names and stats and memories and whatnot. And everything is sort of simulated by GPT-4, what they do. So a lot of people are comparing this to Sims, which I don't think it's a good comparison. I think it's Stardew Valley. Come on. Stardew Valley is the perfect comparison for this, but with GPTs running around. My question was, how much does it cost? Because I ran some of the stuff with where like agents chat back and forth, and most people opt to use GPT 3.5 Turbo. It's cheaper, it's faster, but like this guy says, it looks pretty expensive to run. It might be cheaper to do it with GPT 3.5, but challenging to accomplish because it's just not as effective. And the developer says, yeah, I can easily spend $100 a day at the moment. This is interesting. Here's a doctor that breaks down the GPT-4 vision and what is right, what is wrong. So he is impressed by it, but he does say that there was few errors. So for example, this isn't a Jones fracture. And he's saying that it's almost correct, but that's not the same thing as being correct. Then he's saying here's, maybe jump to conclusions a little bit with this sort of radiology report. And then it's saying, so the model correctly picks up on the joint effusion and likely meniscal tear, but also makes some assumptions that are not possible to infer from this slice alone. Anyways, and it continues. And of course, somebody posted ticker jobs, which, how could you not put that in there? So I have many more of these. I think I add a few clips a day for video ideas. So I would love to maybe every once in a while just do something like this and kind of go through the stuff that I just didn't have a chance to cover. But let me know, did you guys like this? Was this useful? Oh, and one last thing. This is Andrew Ng. I kept saying his name is Andrew No, and I do apologize. Andrew Ng, I believe is pronounced. Go to deeplearning.ai. They have tons of courses. And I think that right now they have several that are free. Pair programming with a large language model, ChatGPT prompt engineer for developers. Now, I'm not affiliated with them, but this guy I think is really out to just do a lot of good for the world and teach about AI. So he's providing a lot of this for free. I feel like maybe later you're going to have to pay for it. But right now, if you go here, you can just jump in there and learn. I'm about to start taking these 2 courses. I'm going to go through them in a little bit. I started this one already. They're great courses. They're not too long. They have a little built-in Jupyter notebook where you can kind of play around with stuff. So, and I guess this person, Isa Fulford, she is part of OpenAI. They introduced her in the beginning. So she's somehow part of OpenAI. And yeah, anyways, if that was helpful, let me know, subscribe, and good luck.